We're going to work on solving literal equations, which for you, literal equations means, hey, we're just going to have a bunch of different variables and we're going to go ahead and solve for one of the variables. It's not what you're used to, which is a familiar equation like this where you might solve for x. But the great thing is none of the rules change. You just keep doing what you normally do. So in this first equation, 3w plus v equals t, the instructions might say solve for v, which means we need to get v by itself. So you always ask the same thing. If v wants to be by itself, I need to get rid of whatever's attached. What is attached? It's the 3w. It's really a positive 3w, so I just do minus 3w to that side, minus 3w to that side. These two add to 0, leaving just a v on that side. And this is so awkward, sometimes people believe it's difficult, but it ends up being easy. You can't combine those, they're not like terms, so you just write t minus 3w and you're done. By the way, someone else could have said v equals negative 3w plus t, and they're also correct because it's a negative 3w, positive t, positive t. This next equation is the exact same equation, but now what if the instruction said solve for w? Well, we're going to do the exact same thought process. If I need to get w by itself, the first thing I need to do is get rid of the v. That seems awkward to do t minus v, but since they're not like terms, you just write t minus v. W wants to be a lone wolf by itself. The 3 is attached by multiplication, so we do division. Those reduce. W equals t minus v over 3, and you are finished. You're probably getting the game now. We're going to do 3 more quick examples. We're going to solve for w in this one. It's a little bit more complicated equation. The first thing to do is to get rid of the divided by 3t. So I multiply the left and I multiply the right by 3t. The 3t was attached by division. I did multiplication, they reduce. So now I just recopy as neatly as possible everything that I have. And if I want to get w by itself, now the only thing to get rid of is the minus a. I do the opposite. I add a. Now it's a little awkward over here, and that's what makes these tough, is you're working with letters or variables instead of numbers. But this is a p times 3t, so someone could write it p 3t if you wanted, plus a. P times 3t, p times 3t. But we have w by itself. All right, and now we're going to solve for y in this one. That's going to be a very common thing in your algebra future, solving for y. First thing is get rid of the 5. It's attached by division, so I do multiplication, and those cancel. So now 4x minus 3y, and I'm going to go ahead and multiply these. 5 times 2x would be 10x. It's just going to make it look a little better. Now I move the 4x because I'm trying to get y by itself. That's really a positive 4x, so I subtract from each side. Hey, we have like terms. That's nice. So over here, since these add to 0, I copy down the 3y and I don't forget the negative. It would be easy to forget that. 10x minus 4x, these are like terms, so I divide by, I subtract. Finally, to get y by itself, a negative 3 is attached by multiplication. I do division, and y equals negative 2x. I have solved for y. I've gotten y by itself. It would be a really good idea for these problems that we're working on. Go back to the original problem and rework it on a blank sheet of paper and see if you can arrive at the same spot. The more you practice any of these problems like that, the better off you're going to be, because when you practice it and you check solutions, you find out if you're understanding. In this last one, we're going to show you how you can do solving literal equations with science or geometric or any type of formula, even business formulas, things like that. So here we have volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. That's the volume of a cone. We're going to solve for h, which means we need to get that h by itself. It seems like it's more complicated because you have all this stuff going on, but if I want to get rid of everything except the h, I take a look at that whole chunk, And in this case, 1/3 pi r squared is attached to the h by multiplication. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to recopy this. I'm going to divide by 1/3 pi r squared. That means I have to divide the other side by 1/3 pi r squared. But by doing that, cancel, 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 I would just have the h by itself. Now what I have over here on the left-hand side is pretty awkward, but that's all right. Do I have the h by itself? Heck yeah. That means my answer is complete. So this formula also applies to that. It's just from a different point of view. It can help you find the height if you fill in this information. My original formula, if I fill in this information, it can help me find the volume. That is solving literal equations. Same steps as regular equations, just more awkward because it's all letters and variables.